Hello, guys, and welcome to Mental Wealth Conversation, a show that seeks to empower you to give you more insights on matters relating to your mental health. And my name is Derek Were.
My name is Lillian Simiyu. Thank you so much for listening to our previous episodes. We are very grateful for the feedback that you've given us. And welcome to today's show. Today we talk about rejection, and we're going to talk about what it is, how does it feel to be rejected, and how do you reject somebody. Like, is there something, as I wanted to ask you, Derek, is there something as like diplomatically rejecting someone, like kama utaki mtu, like is there a polite way to,
Like, I don't believe there is any polite way to reject. I don't believe there's only polite way to hurt someone. You know, there are people who, we were dating, and then we have a date, and then we just agree to live our separate ways. Somebody must always feel the pain at the end of the day. If your breakup was so peaceful, trust me, you are more than two in that relationship. You just didn't want to tell each other.
unasema ilikuwa right?
Yeah, but rejection, heartbreak, there has to be pain. There's nothing like being diplomatic about it. So I believe rejection is in many occasions painful, but it is not as painful the third time as it is during the first time. It keeps, some people have adopted the tough skin, quote unquote, and they are used to either way, to be accepted or rejected. They take it in equal measure. And there are those of us who always, whenever we put our minds into something, we completely believe things are going to work out. In friendship, when we start dating, when you go to work, we believe things are simply going to work. So it's purely about your experience on it and how you think about it, or how you are trained to think about it. There's some of us who are taught if you're rejected, which is some content are a bit misleading. When you're rejected, it simply means there's something wrong with you. But I believe we want to discuss it today. I don't think all the time when you're rejected, it has to do with you. Sometimes it has to do with the people who are rejecting you.
Which I think it would be hard to believe for some people, because I'm thinking, okay, if you reject me, surely why would you reject me? But yeah, I'm guessing there are people who ask that question as well. And rejection, I know, Derek, you've researched, you're empowered, and you know that when people reject you, it's not about you. Sometimes it's projection, but many people don't know that. If you reject me, I take it personally, as I should, and wonder why what is wrong with me that has made you reject me. But yes, maybe Derek, we should start by telling people, what is rejection?
First things first, I think according to the dictionary, rejection is simply pushing someone or something away. That is basically what the dictionary says. But in the mental space, rejection refers to the feeling of shame, sadness, or grief people feel when they are not accepted by others. So it's more of a feeling of sadness, shame, and grief, when people decide we can no longer, rub shoulders. So there are so many factors that contribute to this. And we face rejection a number of times. I think one of my recent rejection I've experienced was early this year. I think last year was a bit tough. So this year when it began, kulikuwa na kazi ya 4 months to, people were applying for it, and then, getting the job. So I remember I applied and even told a few friends of mine to apply for the same job. So I applied, we were called for the interview, and then we were told in 2 weeks' time they would respond to us. So 2 weeks down the line, I did not really follow through. And then the third week, so I texted my friend, hi, it is 3 weeks down the line. Kwani these guys are not communicating. The guy told me that he was picked. I called another person, he was picked. Almost every person I knew was picked for that job. I can only recall I was the only person who was never called for that job. It completely broke me down. Like, last year was not really a good year for me, and then I imagine I've applied for this job. I've put all my energy, the people I've shared with, to apply for the same, and I believe I was equal to the task, but apparently I didn't get that opportunity. So it was a bad feeling. I really felt sad, it disturbed me for a while, and I was like, am I the person who is having issues? You know, if I'm not getting this job, last year has not been that, good for me. I've had a number of issues in my previous relationship. I know there are people listening and they're like,
mention your ex.
Nimechoka kumention.
Mention your ex.
I can't mention Muka. She's amazing. She's an amazing friend of mine.
And I think
we are good friends, really good
I think
friends.
that's the problem of being a content creator.
But it's something that happened, tuliachana, aliniacha, and life has to move on.
Uliachana malikuacha.
Aliniacha. Yeah, but ni sawa. I was rejected.
You were rejected.
I was rejected, and even that feeling disturbed me for a while, because the trouble with the society we live in, we have been programmed to believe all that stuff. So I think for me, it had to be soul searching for me to realize rejection at times is part of life. And I think today we're going to discuss a number of issues and effects of rejection and ways in which we can, handle rejection. Of course, there has to be a way that human beings must learn to handle rejection, and then pre-existing conditions that might make you, be prone to rejection. There are people who are very sensitive already to rejection. So these are things we're going to discuss today. Lilian, I don't know if you have ever experienced rejection.
Of course.
Wanasemaga hii show mimi ndio naongele. Niko na machungu mingi sana.
I have experienced rejection, and one of it is similar to yours. Even me at the beginning of the year, late last year, like December, heading to January, I had a job interview. And in that interview, it was a good interview. You see that the kind of interview you unaona hata wewe, this was a good interview because these guys looked impressed, at least from their remarks. And then I didn't get the job, even though I felt like I was equal to the task. And I was like, what? It was a very sad moment for me, because I think I had put my mind to it. I was thinking, I come 2021, this is what I'm starting with. But it didn't happen. Then it threw me off, and I was back to ground zero to now start thinking, how is my 2021 going to look like? So that felt really bad. That felt like, I don't know, felt like rejection, really. Then the other one, this one I feel like I was diplomatically rejected. But
oh wow, diplomatically rejected.
It was
Tell us more.
It was a relationship kind of situation this year. And this guy, we met and we had something going on that was almost becoming a relationship. But this person had just like left her ex, or his.
Oh, so he had jumped from one affair to another.
From one relationship. So he was hoping to, I don't know.
Trying to cement, and
So, it was, we had gotten to know each other, we had connected. It was going to flourish into a relationship from how the things were going. He had even told me he loved me. Wababa. Anyway, so after a while, the ex showed up again. Na she was sorry. Na nilisikia, if an ex is sorry, they're sorry. There's nothing we can do about it.
If an ex is sorry, he or she is
sorry. There's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
So, guy went back to the ex, and that's how the story ended. And I didn't know how to I don't know how to place that. That was rejection, like diplomatically, or what?
It's not diplomatic.
It is just rejection.
The good thing is at least he communicated.
Yeah, I think the one thing I appreciate about this situation is I was told everything. Like, he constantly communicated with me and told me what was happening, what was going on in his mind. He communicated.
That is the most important thing, I think.
Yeah, so, but it was still rejection.
Yeah, if there's a feeling of sadness, grief, shame, pain, it is rejection. And apparently, this feeling that the ones I've mentioned, either anxiety, or let me say, the pain you experience, emotional pain, in the brain is registered the same as physical pain. Mm-hmm. That is how it is registered. So there's nothing like kama umekatika mkono is different from how you'll be, depressed. It's almost the same kind of pain that is registered in the brain. So guys, these are things that we discussed that we experience rejected. There are a number of factors. So I think the other thing I'd like us to discuss, Lillian, is people who are sensitive to rejection. Like they are highly exposed to rejection. It is not like it is something that is within them at times, of their learned over time. So their rejection sensitivity, these are people who expect to be rejected all the time. There are people who naturally expect to be rejected before even dating, or before connecting, or the fact that they have friends. They have within their mind, they know huyu dem ataniacha, ama these guys are going not to involve me all through in these dealings, so those are people who are already prone to. So mostly they act in a way that pushes people away. The fact that within your mind you're going to be rejected, one of the things is you're not going to be sincere or completely honest with this kind of friendships or relationships, either at work or dating relationship. So in a way they act sometimes like they push you away, not to be close with them, and such kind of stuff. So why will somebody be sensitive to rejection? That is another question. So I did a bit of research and I realized sometimes we can be prone to the feeling of rejection because of our childhood experience. There are people who, while they were young, they were rejected. For example, your parents rejected you, or whenever you used to engage in activities with other kids, be it at home, be it at school, they in a way used to reject you, or they could mock you. You look like, they will body shame you. Sometimes the way people describe you can be a form of rejection, or they don't want to associate with you because of 1, 2, 3 aspects about you. So when somebody during their childhood experience some sort of rejection, and they grow up without realizing these habits grew and affected them, they will have a difficulty accommodating people genuinely, because as I've said, they already know they're going to be rejected. So that could be one of the ways. The other form, or the other reason why somebody can have naturally the feeling of rejection are biological vulnerabilities. These are people who have a genetic predisposition or certain personality traits. There are certain kind of attachment styles that will make somebody feel not secure with people. I don't know if Lillian, you've experienced that.
No. Well, when you talk about genetic predisposition and childhood experiences, most of it comes from there. For you to be an adult who has, for example, fear of rejection, it comes from that. And it's unfortunate that trauma or this kind of experiences find their ways to the genes. So you can be born with this kind of generational trauma, for example, already existing in your system. So it's very alive. And when you talk about personality traits and attachment styles, of course we know that most, like the three out of four attachment styles are, let's say, quote unquote, unhealthy. It's only one that is healthy. So it means that, for example,
could you highlight a bit about it?
If you're, for example, a fearful avoidant, mostly you will be afraid of rejection. There's dismissive avoidant, anxious attached. Most likely you fear rejection, and it comes from these places, your childhood experiences. Because if your level of self-awareness is low and your self-esteem is low, definitely you don't even believe in yourself enough to believe in what you bring into the world. So of course you don't expect people to put any value to you, because you also don't put any value to yourself. So automatically, subconsciously, you already assume that people will not want you. So the feelings of feeling unwanted, unliked, or just not worthy enough already put you at risk of feeling or having that fear of rejection. So it's there's a lot of things that come together, but most of it, I would say, is your childhood experiences.
Play a key role.
They play a very key role in saying whether you will be somebody who fears rejection or not. Because at the end of the day, I think rejection is something that happens to all of us. but the difference is how you choose to handle it or how you handle it. And you see, you can't, handling rejection is something, it's, I would say it's a muscle you build. Kwa sababu you can't just, I wouldn't say that everyone just became okay with handling rejection. Me, for example, when this guy decided to go back to his ex, it wasn't a big deal for me. I was like, that's what you've amuad, and then sawa, we move. And it's not we move regardless for me carrying baggage. It's actually just me letting go and letting whatever is going to happen and understanding I don't have control, and it's nothing against me. It's not that I'm not pretty, I'm not intelligent, I'm not good enough. It's just a choice he had to make, and he made a choice for himself, which has completely nothing to do with me. It's him. It's just him. Like, this was him. So it takes a lot. It takes a lot for you to get to that point where it's okay. It's okay for you to handle that kind of rejection, and it's also okay for you to say no, because you understand it's normal processes. It's nothing, it's not a big deal to tell somebody, by the way, here haiwezi. But you see, if you fear rejection, even you, it's hard for you to reject, because you feel like you're responsible for people's feelings. How will they feel? How will they react? So it's hard for you to do something like that, even if it's for your own benefit. So I think I just wanted to highlight that part where your childhood experiences. So even as we talk about rejection, maybe you would want, people who are listening would want to revisit what was their childhood like. Did they feel wanted? Did they feel, how do just generally feel about life, and how have they handled rejection? Because there are people, even as kids, they handled rejection just really well. They didn't have to grow up and learn so that they can know how to handle these things. They were meant to understand that this is not normal life process and happenings, and it wasn't a big deal. But for some people, it's a big deal. Yeah.
I think you've brought another aspect I wanted us to discuss, why it is important for people to accept rejection. I know people are like, why are we discussing, why should we accept rejection? And one of the reasons I believe we need to accept rejection, when somebody says, I don't think we'll no longer be together, or I think I can no longer work with you, for example, when you accept rejection, it helps you know what you can do and what you cannot do. So the trouble with not accepting rejection is you will end up doing things that you don't enjoy doing. For example, I was dating somebody, and then this person decides they don't want to date me, quote unquote, because they think I don't dress as they expect, for example, or I don't do certain things as they expect. What will happen is I will force myself to do things I don't enjoy doing so that I can please them, or I can feel accepted again. So most people who suffer from rejection and still refuse to accept rejection normally end up exposing themselves to more danger. One, you are going to end up pleasing people because you feel like I cannot stay on my own.
So much to rudi kwa people pleasing.
Yeah, it's like, we're going back to people pleasing. Uta feel like me, I cannot stand on my own. I don't, and I don't want to accept that I've been rejected. You go back to, why did you reject me? Those questions of, why did you reject me? What did I do that didn't make you happy? Can you still take me back?
Am I not good enough?
What
do they have that I don't?
Exactly. That at that point, you're questioning your integrity. And at that point, most of the time, you might end up doing things that you don't enjoy doing. If you end up doing things that you don't enjoy doing, at that time, you're actually rejecting yourself. You are rejected by others because they don't enjoy who you are. But now, because you want to please them, you end up rejecting yourself. And the worst you can do to yourself is rejecting yourself. People should love you, like I believe, naturally. Human beings should love you because of what you do. Naturally, things that you do naturally without any difficulty.
Of just who you are.
Yeah, of just who you are. But if you get to a point where you are forced to do something extra, and especially you don't enjoy, then that means you are forcing yourself within people's space, So we are trying to teach our listeners to, first of all, know rejection exists. It is part of life. It will happen once in a while. It will always happen. Number two, the importance of just accepting rejection. Accept. kama tu haiwezi kuwa sindio Lilian? If it can work, it can work.
If it's not, kama haiwezi
I know kuna watu wenye tuna force, kuna
usiforce issues.
Kuna okay, sitaki kuwaita masimp.
Waacha bana, waacha. No.
Nimeacha kutumia word simps. Inatumika in a different context altogether nowadays. Sijui kusema kitu yote you are a simp. Sijui kufanya nini you are a simp, so I'll not use that word. There's a condition nilisoma inaitwa neuroticism. I hear it is a condition in which to a degree you feel that the world is distressing, threatening and unsafe. It's a mental condition, so it's one of so many other conditions that can make you feel people will always reject you. So it's already existing within somebody, so if somebody is in that condition, they need to know first of all, and they need to do a lot of soul searching in dealing with all this stuff. So I think we have highlighted a bit of rejection. Maybe Lilian, we can try and talk to our listeners to tell them some of the psychological effects of rejection. Somebody rejects you. What are some of the psychological effects of rejection?
I think rejection, and now that we are saying it can come from, you can inherit it or carry it with you from when you were a child. Of course, its effects can be very huge. And we are talking anxiety, we're talking depression, we're talking inability to function sometimes, especially maybe in social places where you're constantly worried about, will what I'm doing be enough? Or even at work, you've put the standards too high because you don't think anything you do will be accepted, or you'll be accepted the way you are, the way you work. So inability to express yourself. I think the other day I was talking to a friend of mine who was telling me sometimes she is afraid to totally express herself, and it was coming from a place where she fears people might not take it. So technically it's a fear of rejection of who she is. So those kind of things, because they're inherent in your subconscious, you operate differently. You can't fully express who you are, the full version of yourself, because of this kind of situation. Maybe because you fear rejection, or because you've experienced rejection, or because you want just to be accepted. So I think it would be, I would mention anxiety, depression, and it can go as far as suicide sometimes.
Yes. And
I would say generally just the inability to live a fulfilling, authentic life because of maybe the baggage you're carrying, or the fear, or just fear of being yourself. Yeah,
I think you're very right. You've mentioned depression, anxiety, all those factors. I think at different point, all of us in some way, we face the fear of rejection, being rejected. One of the things I think I experienced in high school, and I always try to preach out, and I hope things change. When we go for school functions, whenever students go for school function, there's a way teachers have prepared their students to associate with a particular group of schools. So if I am from Alliance, maybe my teacher will tell me, go and interact with girls from Pangani Girls, interact with girls from Starehe Girls, boys from Sunshine Secondary, etc. So you find that if you come from a school that is not within that scope, even interacting with these students alone becomes difficult. They will naturally, me have experienced, somebody will ask, I loved interacting with different people from different schools, and sometimes we go to these schools because, for example, for me who, school in a ghetto school, one of the first things my teachers tell me is, go and interact with those students, learn from them what they do so that they are doing well or excelling their school as a whole, So you greet somebody, say hi, you want to initiate a conversation, and the first thing is like, which school? You mention your school, and they'll be like, I am rushing somewhere, I don't have time. It happens. Literally, it has happened to me not once, not twice. and then you grow. If it's something that it has happened to you once or twice or thrice, you naturally or start feeling like I don't need to start talking to a particular group of people. I feel like sometimes we are creating social class within students and all that stuff, and this is how somebody can grow up and start feeling or fearing to openly express himself or herself, because they'll be rejected. I mean, you don't come from this class, you don't fit in this category and all those stuff. So I'd say it's something I've experienced, and it got to a point it was difficult for me to even speak out my mind. You can imagine, as somebody who has been doing presentation in any form, one of the first things for you to be able to be confident before doing a presentation is familiarizing yourself with people who are in that space, try to understand them, blah, blah, and all that stuff. So you can imagine the first interaction, the second interaction, the third interaction has not been successful because people don't really think they should listen to you. Because, I mean, your school speaks a lot. You don't need to tell us anything. We don't need to hear anything from you. There's nothing good that can come out of your mouth. So the trouble will be now you forcing yourself to fit in. So if you're rejected, accept rejection, move on. So ni life. Hakuna kitu unaweza fanya.
Ni life.
Yeah.
But I think I like what you've mentioned, because even in ourselves, sometimes we do these things without knowing. We do, like we plant these seeds without knowing. Even in kids, sometimes we discriminate, and sometimes we are not aware of it, just because maybe this kid is not maybe as smart, or doesn't come from this kind of family, or doesn't have this kind of abilities. Because this even comparison can plant that seed for somebody to feel rejected, because you're already comparing them with somebody else, and you're making this kid or this person feel like they should be this person for them to be valued.
Yeah.
So there are some things we do in a very subtle way that can plant this fear of rejection that we are talking about. But I like the way you're saying that if you're rejected, accept. But Derek, do you know how it's a whole process to accept this kind of thing? And as much as we are here telling you to accept will be your final stage. But first of all, you will start by feeling hurt and feeling disappointed. And it's okay to feel like that. We're not saying you shouldn't feel.
Thank you for raising that. I think we should remind our listeners, rejection will come with a lot of pain, emotional pain. We are not saying that if you accept today rejection, the next minute you'll be smiling, you'll not feel it,
So before you even accept, there's a lot of emotions that you will go through, like fear, feeling hurt, and it's okay. It's okay to totally feel like that. Don't block those feelings. Feel them. Allow yourself to feel, allow yourself to go through the process, because you cannot go around it, you can only go through it. So go through it, and finally you will get to the acceptance that Derek is talking about. Acceptance is not your first stage, it is your last stage. So there's a lot of things that you will feel. You will feel like going back to this person and blocking them or blocking them. There's a lot of things. Like there's a lot of, if it's a job you missed, you'll feel like not applying for other jobs. There's a lot of things that you will go through. But in the end, just I pray that you get to the point where you let go and understand that it's the normal happenings of life. Some things you get, some things you lose. But either way, life moves on. Either way you're still worthy. You're still an amazing individual who can get another opportunity for a job, for love, for whatever it is that you're hoping for.
Thank you so much. I think even before we even tackle more on how to overcome rejection, and something we're going to discuss, I was following through the story of Colonel Sanders. This guy is the founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC. And watching the journey of this guy, you'll say this is a man who should have quit many years ago. He tried everything he could, from his teenagehood, starting business, closed. By the time another business is booming, there's World War II and all those stuff. By the time things were working out for him, he was already 75, and all those stuff. So there's a number of rejections he underwent for him to become the great man he became. Of course, he is now the late. And so many other stories of people who have gone through rejection and all that stuff. And I think now that we want to talk about how to overcome rejection, I think one of the books that really helped me, it's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I've used that word, but that is the title of the book. It speaks about realities of life. You know, there are so many good books that motivate us, and the trouble with motivation is sometimes it's only one-sided. They tell you the good side of life. They don't tell you the negative side of life. They don't prepare you to know that people will walk away. They don't tell you that there are days you're going to be sad. They don't tell you that. They tell you of how you are great, of which all of us are great. But we need to be reminded things at times don't work as we expect. There are things you'll give your best, your A game, but it won't turn out as you expected. It doesn't mean you're less. And there are times you will completely give the best to your family members. You'll give the best to your work. You'll give the best to those you love, and you're in a romantic relationship. But that won't be enough. You'll still be rejected. It is part of life. So I think now we can discuss about how we can overcome rejection. Maybe how you, as Lillian, have overcome rejection before. And I can also share my insights on how I think I came to terms with the kind of rejection that have happened in my time, in my lifetime. So I think I'll throw the ball back to you.
I think a rejection is a big thing, and I think I would say without fear that the one thing I would advise somebody to do is, or I would suggest someone does, is seek help. And by seeking help, I would say maybe just talking to somebody about your experience. Because most of the time, maybe your experience is unique, maybe it isn't, but just sharing what you feel and what, because you see a lot of it sometimes when you feel rejected, there's a lot of rant that maybe you'd want to get out because you feel unfairly treated, you have a lot of complaints. So I'd say the first thing probably is talk to somebody about how you feel, or journal. Just accept to yourself that you feel like this and voice it. I feel like that is the first step to even overcoming or accepting, because you have to accept that I'm hurt, accept that I feel rejected, I feel unwanted. Then after you feel you seek help, I would say, I feel like what I'm seeing here right now is more of how to prepare yourself to deal with rejection. But in that moment, I would say talk to somebody and also just to go through your feelings. So sababu, you can't block them. And I feel like the most healthier way not to carry baggage is express your feelings, whether it's through crying, through talking to somebody, through screaming, just express. But also what you would learn to do as an individual, even going forward, is validate yourself, be your own acceptance, because people will come and make you feel unwanted. Some people will do it knowingly. Some people will endeavor to actually just make Derek feel like he's not good enough. So you have to first of all believe, as Derek or as Lillian, I am good enough. I am worthy. I know what I bring to the table. I know my capabilities.
How do you, somebody's like, how do you even validate yourself?
How do you validate?
I have failed. I've been rejected in my relationship. I've been rejected at my workplace. My friendships are not working. It seems like I'm the only one who is not accepted. So how do you even start from all this turmoil? How do you start validating yourself to tell yourself, I am worthy, I'm great, I can still do it without them?
How you start is, you see, most of the time when we are in that space, we are focusing on everything that is going wrong. But the truth is, today I was hearing somebody say there is no bad without good and there is no good without bad. So for every bad thing that happens, there's some good to it. And for every good thing that happens, there's a bad aspect to it. And that is the duality of life. So how about, for a start, I know there's a lot of things going on wrong, but can we at least see what is going on right? Write it down and internalize. Because most of the times as Ingine, we've just focused on, I have been rejected, I'm not good enough. But on the flip side, maybe a lot of good things are happening in your life, but you don't want to acknowledge them. And as long
Yeah.
as you don't acknowledge them, they will be non-existent because you are not acknowledging them and no one is coming to acknowledge them for you. So you start by recognizing that, yes, I might be rejected, but ABCD is going on well. And you can use these things that are going well to affirm yourself. That's how you start to validate yourself.
Yeah.
You start to feel worthy. I might have been rejected, but look, I completed this project by myself, or I did this, or I've grown this far, I've been able to face this fear. There's a lot of things that you can be grateful for. There's a lot of things that are going well. So as much as sometimes our mind is focused towards what is not going on right, sometimes there's something that is going on right, and focusing on it for a bit can really help you get out of a dark space, validate yourself, and be your own. Like, accept yourself, know yourself. And you can't validate yourself, Derek. And that's why I really insist as a person on self-awareness. If you don't know your strengths, if you don't know your weaknesses, if you just don't know about you, it's very hard for you to validate yourself. What are you validating?
You need to first of all have time with yourself to
Yeah.
understand who you
If
really are.
If you don't know for yourself you're intelligent, then there is nothing to validate.
Yeah.
So you have to take time to know these are my strengths and these are my weaknesses, and to know your weaknesses, so that even when people come at you, because as in people will just be negative, and sometimes you should be able to point out and know, yes, my weakness is, for example, I don't keep time. But when somebody says, for example, I am a liar, I know I am not. But if you don't know yourself, everything that people say will be gospel truth, and most of the time people don't have positive things to say. We have positive things to say when people die.
Yeah, and then somebody
so
said...
these positive things you have to know for yourself and tell them for yourself, because people will tell you everything that is negative about you.
Before I forget, there's somebody that said some people are negative to others because that is the only way they can validate themselves. So there are people who will tell you you're not worthy, you're not great, because
it makes them feel good about themselves.
Yeah, they have so much insecurities about themselves. So by
they
the time
project.
they project. So by the time they're telling you all this, that is the only time they feel good about them. So don't take all this trash. For lack of a better word, if I can use a simpler term, like people say, Lilian, hatuwezi kuwa rafiki yako because you cannot cook chapatis. And you know your strength. You know your strength is not cooking chapati. You know your strength is in
kuchemsha
maji na kupika uji. You know, when you know yourself, utajua, I'm happy by the way you guys rejected me because I cannot cook chapati because it's not my strength.
But I boil the best water.
You boil the best water. Yeah. So when you know yourself, which is a personal development stuff, you will know if people rejected me because I cannot do 1, 2, 3 things, I accept because I know that cannot be me.
Exactly.
But if you don't know who you really are and your strength and your weaknesses, if they say you cannot cook chapati, you're going to force yourself to cook things that look like a moeba, and you know, to force yourself to be in that group. You know,
things like look at like but so like as I was saying, self-awareness is a very important process to you validating yourself, because you can only validate what you know. You can only affirm what you know, because we don't want you to lie to yourself because it won't help. We want you to say things that you truly believe. If you believe you're intelligent, then validate yourself with that. If you believe you're beautiful, nothing wrong with being beautiful, you can validate yourself with that. If you believe you're an excellent leader, an excellent administrator, excellent executor, validate yourself with those things. And you really have to know them, because if you don't, then what will you use to affirm and validate yourself? So in the midst of everything that goes wrong, because some people who we think, we see them, they've had very difficult experiences, they have such beautiful mindsets, and it's because of this they can be able to separate and compartmentalize and say, yes, this area of my life isn't going well, but there's this area going well, and I am hoping, or I am striving to be better, or to do better, or to have just the right mindset. Because you see, going through situations has a lot to do with how your mindset is at. Your mindset is everything, and your mindset will decide whether you go through this victoriously, successfully, or not, or you stay there for the rest of your life. Because you see, people say time heals, time makes things better, but I don't think so. There's a lot of mental work that you need to do to get better. You have to rewire your brain, you have to rewire the way you think, have the correct mindset for you to get through situations, or
Yeah.
for you to heal. It's not time that heals you. It's your will and the work you do to get healed or to get better. Yeah, so there was that validating yourself, and then self-development, which we have mentioned, by just knowing yourself, being self-aware, and also improving your life. Read more, research more. It makes you more aware of the world and even issues like this.
Yeah.
Because for me, I would say, speaking for myself, I've been able to get through situations because of self-development and just being aware of what my situations are and how to navigate through them. So it's self-development that has helped me get through my situations. So I would say those two. Maybe I'll throw back to you to mention the rest.
Well, I'd say for me, it is through the rejection that I came to realize my abilities. I think before some serious rejections happened in my life, I didn't know how or who I really was. But I think after rejection, I had a sit down with myself, and I'm like, wait, yes, I was rejected. I did not get this opportunity, but what are my strengths? I was going to do that job, yes, but is that really my strength? You realize, I come to realize I am good at teaching, content delivery, and organizing things. So I think after that long period, these are the things I realized I'm good at, and through that I realized I need to refocus my energy on things that I'm good at and exploit more. Things that I'm not really good at, I can't put much effort because it will take me a lot of energy and time, to learn and become better. So it is important, I think, at times we need to face our fears. Some of the times we don't want to experience rejection, or we are prepared for rejection, is because we don't want to face our inner fears. There's something that struck you really bad some time back, but you always try to avoid that thing. So because you avoid that thing, you avoid facing rejection, or you already think there'll be rejection at the end of the day. So face your fear. It can really help you. It can really open your mind. There's somebody who said that some of the negative things we think will happen by trying out our goals, 90% of them never come to pass. Like, if I know I want to become an engineer, but my mind is filled with negativity, sometimes those negative things of what is going to happen to stop me from achieving my dream never come to pass. Face your fears. If you face your fears, then you are giving yourself an opportunity to overcome that which you don't know. And then reject negative self-talk. This one takes time. I think for me to stop negative self-talk had to do with watching the right content, content that remind me of who I am, content that remind me there are strengths within me that I need to focus more on. Because after experiencing a number of rejection, I used to wake up in the morning and I'll be like, I don't need to do this because I'm going to fail at the end of the day, or people are not going to accept me in that group. It used to happen again and again and again. I was like, apana, me, I don't think I want to do it, because like my mind was full of negative thoughts, because the last 2, 3, 4 things I tried and I gave my energy and my time didn't work out. So I was so negative about myself. So I think you had said earlier, we need to remember the things we have done that have been beautiful and people have loved it, people have appreciated it, and we have felt some sort of happiness within ourselves. So these are the things we need to focus on. And lastly, as we're coming, to the end of this conversation, I think for me, rejection is a blessing. Today, I see rejection as a blessing. I will be happy for somebody to reject me than for somebody to waste my time pretending that all is well. I'll be happy because that rejection reminds me that I don't need to be here, or I don't fit in this group. Look for something else. It rejects me because, for example, I don't love parties. If my friends that I've met recently love and enjoy parties and some sort of fun, and they say they don't think they'll be with me because I don't do 1, 2, 3 things, I feel happy. That is not my group. I will not force myself to impress people who are doing what I don't love doing. So for me, I enjoy sometimes being rejected because it is a reminder I don't fit there. I need to try something somewhere else.
It's funny how you say you enjoy being rejected. I don't think anybody enjoys being rejected. But Derek, if you enjoy being
Okay, the enjoyment
like,
is
I get what you mean. Like, you've gotten to a place where you accept it and see it for what it is, and it doesn't hurt you. But what I think I wanted to say before we finish this conversation is, we have just mentioned that rejection is deeper than what you see, like how to deal with rejection, or the deep feelings of rejections and the effects of it is deeper than what we see. And we have talked about it being generational and having come from our childhood experiences. So that means it's something that is deep. And as much as we are here telling you to get to know yourself and all those things, I want to acknowledge that maybe this is something, it's a process that maybe some people cannot do on their own, and which is fine. And if you would feel like that is you, then it's okay to seek help, seek therapy, or somebody that can work with you in this journey of just healing and becoming aware and becoming okay in yourself, and becoming okay with how life plays in terms of just sometimes just not giving you what you want. So I just want to mention that important fact that it is okay if you can't go through this process alone of healing or becoming okay with the rejection. It's okay to seek help, talk to somebody who can help you or can work with you, because it's something deeper than most of us can see.
Yeah, it's something deeper than most of us can see. I think I don't have much to add. I think it has been a beautiful session talking about rejection, and I hope there's something you've learned. We appreciate everyone who always listens. Give your feedback. At times you tell us about our sound, you tell us about the content we shared, the guests we bring on board, and we want you to keep on reminding us of the things we do that we can improve, because we are not best of the best. We are here to learn, and we're here to share what we think we know about mental health. So thank you so much everyone for listening to us. I think I'll ask Lillian to share her contact in case somebody wants to get to us directly, whether you want us to host you or in one or the other support this conversation. Lillian.
Yes, you can reach us on 0792015089. That's where you can find us in case of any questions, in case of you want us to link you to somebody who can help you in your mental health struggles. I think we can be able to do that. So feel free to reach to us. Feel free to share this podcast if it's been impactful to you. Leave us a comment. Anything, we will be open and very happy to receive it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and I hope you have learned something or two.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.